Alright, so this is session, I wrote them all down, I'm pretty sure this is actually session 16. So,
very exciting.
When last we saw our crew, you had recently arrived into Scrabcaster, and the town was immaculate, the people were very friendly, the people were unusually friendly, and it didn't take too much digging to figure out that there was something a bit sinister afoot. You managed to successfully sneak out of the inn without being found and broke into Archie's old home looking for Mayor Fancyleaf, who had apparently been indisposed, although no one could tell you why or quite exactly when. All they knew was that they loved their new mayor, Ulox. You crept through the house, and there was no one around. There was no one there to stop you. There was no one there to greet you. This very large manor was actually silent. And you managed to find your way down to the basement and into a hidden room that was full of essentially what you realized were the townspeople's hearts, kept in jars. And these jarred hearts were still beating, and thus the reason that the townspeople were still alive. You then found Mayor Ulox and confronted him, and it didn't take long for a short discussion to turn quite ugly. And though Safine fell, her friends were quick to get her back on her feet, and you defeated Mayor Ulox. And Safine, in one sort of fit of pettiness, stuck a blue flower up his nose. And
Didn't think she was gonna say
startlingly,
No.
these flowers consumed his body, leaving his body just a pile of ash on the floor of the house. Stefan, the head servant of Mayor Ulox, was able to emerge from one of the rooms, and really he didn't seem concerned with you at all. All he was concerned with was Mayor Fancyleaf, who you found chained in his bedchambers and nearly on death's door. And where we pick up now is where we left off, with Stefan having ushered you into Archie's old bedroom and leaving you for the night while he makes sure that his lord is in good hands and resting. Now, this will be a long rest for you all, so I'm pretty sure that you guys either need to mark it or you have already. Safine went to sleep, drugged. She took the herbs.
Wait, what about my boy?
She took the herbs that she had promised she would not take. And Safine, you sleep. You don't sleep well. But in the morning you feel a bit cold. And when you wake, when the others wake from wherever they've scattered themselves around this room, they can see that your skin now has a gray pallor to it. You still have a pulse. You still have breath in your lungs. But everything feels so much stronger. Your clothes, you can feel the very way that they're woven. The air, you can feel exactly which dust particles are in the air. Every time that you move your hand, whatever your goddess did to you, you will never be able to not feel again.
Oh, come the fuck on. she just is like this. She just starts flipping over and she's like, fuck you guys. And then she slams her head down and starts looking for Hiss somewhere.
Hiss is not curled up with you. He is actually curled up underneath the bed, looking at you very concernedly.
My bad boy.
Promise yourself. drugs anymore.
I never promised him I wouldn't do drugs anymore.
But yeah, so that's where we start off is the next morning.
Don't
And
do that, kids.
compared to yesterday, the house already sounds much more alive. You can hear some commotion in the kitchen. You can hear furniture being dragged around. You can hear discussions taking place as what's probably servants are moving about the house. And that's where we begin.
I'm gonna like warm my hands up with my friend and be like, come here, it's okay.
And he kind of slowly slinks forward and, is Mom okay?
Yeah, last night was really hard for
Mom-
everyone. So
Mama's okay?
I think so. It'll be alright.
And he kind of like licks your hand a little bit, and then he curls back up onto his place in your cloak.
My sweet boy. Oh, so wholesome.
Mercies.
Really
Alright,
sad now.
So let's talk about this for a second, because I think it is something that we need to discuss. Do we need to cut him around before Lord Fancy Leaf sees us again?
I think it is okay.
I mean, I don't particularly want to spend any time in the Gavanian jail, so
I
you
think
know,
we did him a favor.
I should hope so, but I'm not sure.
We could always just be like, suck it up or Archie's dead.
Right here.
Oh, it was almost as if the spirit of Archie was with us.
Talking about it like telling people I'm dead.
He's in the ceiling.
I'm dead. I'm not dead.
God, I get my peeping Tom mask.
Terrible.
Nice.
Okay, so
No, you got that when you saw Tina from across the street.
I think it'll be okay to stay. If anything, he can give us provisions, maybe even coins. Or we can leave now. I don't care either way.
It's alright. If you are comfortable with it, then we can stay. I just wanted to throw it out there as a possibility, especially for you and I, that it might not be a wise idea.
I mean, I can do a quality guilt trip. I saved his life last night.
Sharp enough, let's stay.
I was going to say, I think he at least owes us a favour to get out of town.
I'm still crazy, aren't I?
Oh no!
No. No, the effects faded, but
Crazy sad.
but no, remember definitely came back to herself. But however she spent the night and however this morning, like it's not dawn, like it's well after morning, like you guys slept hard. So, however, it's up to remember.
Well, one way or another, let's go try to scope out the situation and see what we need to do.
We're gonna play that fun game again where attempts to remember go back and forth, opening the door and closing the door.
It was effective, kind of, you know. Is it a trap? Is it not a trap? Is it a trap?
Where did we leave our horses?
Back at the stable at the inn.
What is that gonna be?
And that's where Fitsum is too.
I think
No, you didn't bring
Nope.
no.
You
Okay.
specified that he was there.
Oh, that's
Rinna,
probably
how
true.
do you feel about all this? The audacity. I swear, we kept you alive last night. You sure didn't keep me alive.
Oh.
Oh.
That is fair.
We need some.
It's not a terrible idea.
Remember, it opens the door.
So remember opens the door, and you can see a servant down the hall like polishing the banister, and you actually see a gnome woman dressed in a very tidy uniform in the fancy leaf colors, and she kind of looks up and she goes, "Oh, good morning. You're awake then. Will you be taking breakfast?"
Yes.
I suppose we should.
Yes.
Lovely. Then Mayor Fancyleaf will meet you in the dining room. My name is Claudia, and it's very nice to meet you. And then she kind of curtsies.
Is that your real voice?
Excuse me?
Good.
I'm gonna go down now.
Do you need assistance finding the dining room?
She just shakes her head back and forth.
Right, very well.
Hey, I think
Did
we
I
got
notice? Is she acting like they were acting yesterday?
No, she's just.
Okay, there's
Did
no
you
like.
hear her? That's her voice, man.
That's not what I meant.
Trevor's not gonna do anything because how tall are gnome women?
They're like 2 feet. They're
Yeah.
they're shorter than Tamsin.
There's 6 feet between the top of her head and where like Remember's perspective is. So she's losing her shit a little bit.
You have to lay down.
That's like bed.
And she's just got this like mop of very curly red hair as she's like looking up, and as she nods, like her curls kind of bob with her, and then she's, oh, very well, and then she like scurries on her way. And when I see like her feet go very very quickly to like move at a normal speed.
You fucking kidding me with this?
Remember, have you never seen a gnome woman before?
I've barely seen what are you?
Oh shit.
Do you have a problem with short people?
I thought this
She's
was
like-
tall people.
I realize I'm very tall. I understand that I'm very tall.
I'm a halfling.
She's smaller than you.
She's a small halfling.
She's not a halfling.
A small halfling, like I said.
Listen,
Very specific, Emily.
I've seen
Petite, I
snake
said
women, I've seen fish women, I've seen
Fishlings.
bird women. We've done a bird women yet. No. Cat women.
Cat women.
I've never seen
Gestures 1 inch.
Well, I'm assuming she probably hasn't seen somebody and does and gestures as wide as he can.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, probably in the same shoes. Different size, same shoes.
Fair enough.
Giant white shoes.
Same cobbler, different shoes.
Alright, let's eat food, yeah?
Yep, on the
Yeah,
breakfast.
we're gonna breakfast.
So the 5 of you, I'm like, oh god, how many are at this table? I don't play. So the 5 of you go downstairs to the dining room, which you know exactly where that is because you saw it last night. And when you head in, the beautiful table that you saw last night has been laid with a place setting for each of you. And the food is just piled high at the center of the table, and there's eggs and porridge, and there's some like a ham, and there's biscuits and muffins. It looks like whoever came in to like cook this morning has just gone nuts, making everything that they possibly can. And Lord Fancyleaf is sitting at the head of the table, and Stefan is right there at his right hand. And Fancyleaf kind of slowly stands and nods to you all and, good morning. I'm very glad that you could join me. I'm feeling much more rested. Please, sit. And he just settles back in his chair.
Are they? Is it a halfling table with halfling chairs?
No.
Oh,
It is-
it's
Damn
so
it.
good.
It's a normal sized table, but his chair is much higher than the others. And you can see that there are actually additional sized chairs scattered like all around the room. And there are some that can boost up gnomes or halflings. There are some that are set very low for Goliath. There are like your average sized human chair. There's just a plethora of them like laid along the wall for whoever happens to come to dinner.
That's very inclusive and wonderful. However, you know Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, good. Good.
It's damn near inclusivity.
Good morning, Mayor Fancyleaf. I'm glad to find you well.
Yes, it is thanks to your efforts, I suppose.
You suppose.
Pardon me, what was your names? Did I get them last night?
No.
Stefan kind of shakes his head a little bit.
Can I, before we do much else, do I get the I'm gonna call the secret police vibe from them?
There is no Warren Bob. bosses.
You gotta roll perception or insight kind of thing.
Well, my name's Archie, Dad. But you don't want me.
Oh!
You're right, kid. I don't.
Boots him across, yeets him out the door.
Remembers fondly burning your birth certificate.
Natural fucking 20.
No, not at all. He seems like he is a very tired halfling gentleman.
Okay.
Press boxes over
Do you
there.
have detect magic?
I think I took it, yes.
Okay.
The mic's on the
Detect magic.
Yes, I have it.
the juice. That's what I mean.
My name is Anglad. May I fancy leave?
Say again, I didn't.
My name is Anglad. It is very nice to make your acquaintance.
Lovely to make yours as well. And you, ma'am? And he just kind of his voice like kind of breaks a little bit.
Remember.
Did you tell it to me?
No.
And Stefan kind of like frowns a little bit and then shakes his head. No, my lord, you did. She didn't tell you. I think that is her.
No, it's alright. My mother was a bitch. Please remember.
Lovely to meet you. Remember.
That's canon now. No.
She was.
Aw.
My name is Bean. My lord.
Mayor Fancy Leaf is fine.
My lord.
My lord.
Pick number 3, my lord. Tamsin. And he glances over at Rinna. Of course. My apologies. Please help yourselves. And servants step up and they all like pour juice into glasses, and then some of them pour milk, and then they like step back towards the doorways again and kind of take up their positions. And you can see now that this is a very well-to-do house. Like whatever Ulox was doing, he had either hidden or gotten rid of all of the servants, because you've seen at least 5 by now.
Can I roll perception on Stefan if he's gonna call the brigade on us?
Scrapcasters, hottest new fun.
Brigade.
Oh, wait.
They have everything.
This
A
fun
really
is
tall
something.
lady, a tiny footed man.
That is a 22.
Yeah. He seems like whatever the mayor wants to do, he'll do.
Okay, rock on.
Yeah.
Don't call the cops on us.
That's a cult that I've never seen.
And so you watch as like Mayor Fancy Leaf, he eats a bit slowly, and every now and then like his hand kind of shakes a little bit as he reaches for something, and Stefan kind of scooches something close towards him.
I would like to maybe do a medical exam on you, if that's possible. I'm not sure that you.
Will it use what you?
Is that a problem?
I would like to speak with my guests alone, please, Stefan. And the other servants like step out and close the doors. Will it involve what you did last night?
The metaphysical.
Will it
Hypodermically speaking.
Hypodermically speaking.
Well, what you did last night was I thank
Saved
you.
your life.
Yes, you did, and I thank you very much. I am in your debt, but
Don't
will
say
it-
magic never gave you any.
will it? Well, it took my son, but will it involve?
No.
Will it involve?
Like I said, somebody's gotta have to hold Sabine back.
Pardon.
Will it involve what you did last night?
Yeah, will it involve what I did last night?
No, you know
Okay.
medicine.
I think
so,
I just
yeah,
do medicine.
you know.
Slap an ace bandage on there? Probably yes.
The
No.
Mickey sticker.
Then that will be fine. Thank you. But yes,
Here's a nice.
are you all willing to discuss the events of last evening? Because, well, I don't think Stefan or I are quite caught up on what exactly happened.
Well, so far it's pretty standard for us.
I see.
This one's new to the area. I gesture to Rita.
Oh, well, I see.
We're the area, by the way.
Oh, I understand. So,
May I fancy leave?
We are the area.
We are completely willing to discuss it with you if you believe that this is something that you want to know. If you are uncomfortable with the idea of the abilities that the fiend has, you might not wish to know exactly what happened. It might be best for you to simply accept that it is over.
Some people might be of that opinion. I am not one of those people. From what Stefan has told me, my town was afflicted for some time, and what you did last night, Safine, was... It was a thing. It was a thing that you did.
I like put my hands up in front of me like a border to the rest of the group. You ever meet those people who want to learn about socioeconomic problems, but then once you tell them about it, they freak the fuck out? I'm feeling like this is what's gonna happen.
I can still hear... What I would like to know is what exactly was going on. What I know is that a gentleman by the name of Ulox arrived here, quite charming, and I believe that he tried to do something to me, and it didn't work. But I fell asleep after dining with him, and when I woke up, I was quite ill and couldn't move or speak, and well, I was as you found me.
For months?
My strength will recover, but what he did to the rest of the town, I'm concerned for whoever it is that was able to resist his thrall. I have sent out a patrol to speak with the citizens and see who is injured and who needs care, but that is about where my information ends.
If I could, I would imagine Garan probably has like therapy, like scientific practices, maybe, instead of like medical or like magic medical things. But my apprehension, sir, in telling you what transpired is I don't want the metaphysical to continue to get a bad rep. It is only the wielder's problem rather than what they're wielding, as are all things.
Magic doesn't kill.
I am aware of that.
So how will you address this if magic were to be the culprit at hand?
Stefan has informed me that Ulox is no more. His body was unable to be recovered.
That was an accident, but yes.
An accident that I thank you for. What I am planning to do is tell the townsfolk that Ulox was a charlatan and poisoned the town water supply.
Watchable.
It's easy enough to explain away.
Stefan, do you have any memories, or are you cognitive of what transpires?
And he kind of like flinches a little bit. And yes, I was quite aware of my faculties.
My only apprehension to that plan is that the other people will probably remember that they were also engaged in such magics.
If there are any within the town who remember serving that vile man as I was forced to, then I can speak with them myself. But it felt as though someone were whispering suggestions in your ear. Suggestions that I could not ignore. It was worse when he was in the room, but unfortunately, if he gave me a command, it worked over distance, and he really didn't have to be around. If he told me to stay in a bedroom for 3 days, I would not move a muscle. Hopefully, if people believe that there was some sort of mold or fungus or pollen, that even a parasite would work. We can bribe the doctor here in town to declare such, and it will blow over.
is also true, Sophine, that people tend to believe what they want to believe.
That
If
is-
people do not want to believe that there was magic influencing them, then
They should believe that magic saved them.
That is far more difficult.
also we have further business to do in Gahan. I don't think that we need to announce ourselves in that way. I understand that. It is noble. Lord Fancyleaf, I am... No, Fancyleaf, excuse me. I have some skill in the metaphysical. And as best as I can explain it, Ulax stole the heart of everyone that he could. Minus those like yourself that were strong enough to resist him. He stole their physical heart. I do not mean this in a sense that he was just charming and made them love him. He took their hearts and stored them in jars to influence everyone's minds. That is what was happening in your town. However, everything that I have found says that it all stopped when he died. His last breath ended it all.
And were the hearts restored? Then everyone should be safe.
From what I know. I am not an expert in this particular field, I will be honest. But I am skilled enough to conjecture that that it is over.
That is what matters then. You said that you had business furthering to Giron.
Yeah, where are we going again?
We do. There is a very important mission that we have been tasked with for the protection of the peoples of our world. There is a danger that is creeping on every single nation that exists, and we are doing our best to stop it. Even though I have to wear these horrible clothes in order to.
They're so beautiful.
Johan has not heard of fashion. Why haven't you heard of fashion? God.
Well, my dear, you look quite fetching in what you're wearing. But let me just say that what you are currently wearing is not quite the height of fashion in Giron. We
Don't
That's
say
what he's
that to
concerned
her.
We're gonna get to the capital. We're gonna be like, a whole new
Are you telling me that I've been wearing this
She's
shit
shaking. Sophie's shaking her head back and forth like off. Like no.
for no reason?
well, what were you wearing before that? It's fine. You look
It's fine.
you look quite nice,
This is the
and
last time we trust a fucking NPC.
and you will enjoy what you see further into Giron.
Somewhere, High Elf Meryl Streep is going, oh, so you think it doesn't affect
So, anyways, bringing it back around, and then she's gonna tell him everything that happened.
Okay.
For the sake of time.
Yeah. So you guys get through your meal over the course of this story, and by the end of it, Fancy Leaf is not eating. He's just kind of sitting very quietly and listening. And he leans back in his chair, and Stefan looks a bit pale. And Mayor Fancy Leaf looks up, and we will tell them that it was a parasite. And that Ulox. Well, it is not unheard of for a parasite to take over the brain. It's a common enough thing. Ulox was infected and infected others by touch, I
She
suppose.
winks with both eyes. You know,
But-
as a
Blink, a strong blink.
But,
no, it has to be a wink because it's like as parasites do.
Right. Well, you should be fine getting your things from the inn, and You will not. Nothing will be reported to anyone. I assure you.
Wow, what a charity you've bestowed upon us.
Thank you for not running us out to the cops.
Well, you are not citizens, so that can potentially work in your favor if you speak to the right official if something does go wrong. Oh, you are.
Word up.
Ah, well, you're traveling with this bunch.
What's that supposed to mean?
Firstly, it sounds like flowers. Then he says this.
Charity.
Well,
work.
well, I wish you all the best luck then. Um, is there anything I can do for you for the help that you've given us?
Miranda knows what I'm talking about.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
Um,
So
I do have questions about other things though.
I can gladly pay. Stefan, will you check the books and see what it is that we can offer these generous people? And he kind of nods and he sweeps out the door.
Do not feel obligated. I understand that my party members are needy, but
ambitious.
ambitious.
That's entrepreneurial.
But anything that you provide should be in good faith. I don't want you to feel like this was a thing that we did because we need the money.
We mostly did because we were bored.
Really a strange thing for you to do when you're bored.
Kinda don't have a choice. We just show up places and then people get possessed and then we have to take care of it for who knows why.
I shoot dicks.
Actually, that's a fun
This is canon, by the way.
His name
this
is
is-
Lyman.
Remembers doing that. It's
I
really
love bros.
No, I want you to understand. And like Safine was saying earlier, we did this, we used our skills and our abilities to help because we wanted to. And because it is good and because we are good people. And I need you to understand, I need you to understand that that was our motivation. This was not a selfish act.
And I am not trying to buy your favor, madam. I'm simply giving you what I can as thanks. I understand that not all with magic are inherently evil. My son actually had magic.
Oh yes, we know.
What?
And he like sits up a little bit and he immediately the demeanor changes. Like he's immediately more
Would it kill you to send your
suspicious.
son a badge every once in a while? I mean,
honestly.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is where we find out that
I'm
Archie got
sorry,
kidnapped.
you-
He doesn't send him away in the first place.
What do you mean?
Like
What do you
stealing
mean? You
insulting.
know my?
He's a
Is
jock.
he all right? How is he? What do you mean?
Whoa,
You
are you
sent him
associating
away.
us with bad things and your son together is a bad thing?
No. You know my son. What?
Yeah.
Have you seen him recently? Is he well?
Yeah, he's like sure he's got a shit-eating grin. He talks way too much.
Stupid dads.
The last time we saw him, he was doing well, very well, in fact. We helped him get several badges that he thought he needed to please you.
Maybe send him a miss you badge or something, you know, like a letter.
Several letters, a letter
Yeah,
every
you know,
single
like
day.
maybe
Some
like once a
candy in
week.
the
Supportive words from a
envelope.
father figure.
Maybe tell him
Nah.
to come back
Maybe a
home.
birthday card. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Start just one. You've seen Archibald.
When was the last time you saw your son?
It's been
Did you
years now.
And what did you do with him?
Oh.
I sent him somewhere he would be safe.
Where did you send him?
To a Tayseth. If you've seen him, you know. Is he not in a Tayseth?
He's
Please tell me he hasn't.
Stop worrying him. He's in a Tayseth. He's doing his shit. He hasn't got that many badges if like you think about the time that he's been away.
No,
but, like, you can go
I
visit
sort of-
him,
I
like,
sort
every
of-
once in a while.
Well, see, Archibald was a bit precocious as a boy, and I
Oh, we
feared
know.
that
It's not toned down at all.
she's still Archie then.
Yes.
Well, I worried initially that if I kept up communications, he would run away and come back.
Perhaps you should express your love to him as a parent and not give him a way to seek affirmation and also support from you by completing menial tasks, because that is where he will assign his self-worth. I don't know. I'm not speaking
Remember
from
trying to kill
experience.
people, so you should be.
You, he does need to know how to defend himself.
He'll learn that
He-
just fine. What he really needs is a father that supports him and loves him and knows what he's going through and talks to him about those things.
I mean, something tells me he didn't get the talk if he can't even talk about the M word. So.
Oh, I got the sex badge. I walked into Lady What's Her Name, and it just, I just moved right along.
He thinks sex is like a big old bear hug.
And Fancy Leaf just kind of sits real quiet for almost long enough that you wonder if he started to fall asleep. And he looks up, and as an official and nobility of Giron, if I were to travel to Ateseth too often, it would be seen as treason.
You don't have to travel. You could send a letter. You could send several letters.
You could send a servant.
So
You could send a
anyways,
messenger.
she like presses up invisible glasses. So anyways, money, and also, do you know who Mogul is?
Good luck with your son.
Not my problem. I only have one son.
Mogul,
I already have
like
a
I perhaps I heard.
Or like any kind of money grabbing, not me, money grabbing, like, you know, half deity, almost deity, shady man.
Ulox
With the metaphysics.
Ulox did mention. I thought he was saying
Damn it, I
Mogni.
shouldn't have put that freaking flower up his nose.
Yeah, we should have searched the body.
I didn't know I was gonna do that. I just was being
Oh.
funny.
I apologize. I don't know much. And Stefan comes back in, and he has a money purse with him, and he sets it down on the table. And I was able to gather up 150 gold pieces, if that will be sufficient. It's what we have sort of actually present. It would take me a bit longer to get any notes of credit.
She puts hands up. Is that, are we robbing them blind? This is a bad thing.
We've already established that it is a gift in goodwill. If this is what you are comfortable giving and you give it freely, then I know
Take this moment to search your heart.
I would give more if I could. Stefan does a fine job keeping the books. It's not quite my wheelhouse, but I thank you, all of you, for what you did. I assure you, no harm will come to you while you're in town. And should you pass through again, you have a place here to stay.
Diplomatic immunity.
Nice.
Sick.
Real quick, do we want that to get put in the party fund?
How much was it?
150 gold pieces.
I mean, might as well for now.
And so Mayor Fancy Leaf kind of pushes back from the table, and Stefan helps him stand, and he carefully bows to you all, and I should take.
Get a medical examination.
Yes, you do want to do
Stefan,
that.
probably true.
And Stefan quickly shakes his head. No, that's quite all right. I'm feeling all right.
So you're like against magic users? Is it because
And
you got a
it's,
problem? Are you like a little?
And Fancy
prejudiced?
Leaf like elbows him really hard. And nope, that's fine. I'll get a medical exam.
Perfect. It's like Jester trying to give tattoos out to people.
So you go ahead and you accompany them upstairs, and you want to roll medicine check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Upstairs.
In other news, our party fund is almost 250 gold pieces right now.
Yeah, boy.
And I find that personally very exciting.
25.
Drink.
Yeah. So Stefan is definitely a bit malnourished and dehydrated, and seems a bit fatigued. Fancy Leaf still seems to have some bruising, and he's absolutely malnourished, absolutely fatigued. And from the amount of shaking his hands are doing right now, it seems like even just walking down to breakfast and walking back upstairs absolutely exhausted him. And he's already kind of like nodding off as you're
Okay, so I'm gonna just like write down notes for them and like what they should do and whatnot.
yeah. And so Stefan like gets the mayor tucked away and squared away, and he accompanies you back out into the hall. And thank you, madam, for your assistance. You may wish to speak with a. Oh, it goes black.
Hello?
You may wish to speak with a Miss Viola Farson if you make it to Watervale. Her methods of healing are eclectic.
Can you just say magic for once in your life? Good lord.
You never really know who's listening here. Viola Farson?
I keep wanting to call it
Waterville.
Okay.
But you may wish to speak with her, and she can teach you a few tricks so that you might do what you do best and not get caught doing what you do best.
Who is this speaking right now? Stefan, I have a question for you if you have a moment to answer.
Yes.
Part of our mission that we are pursuing at the moment includes an individual named Mogul. Have you heard anything in your time with Ulox of that name?
Yes, it was rather odd. In the evenings before sunset, Ulox would come round and request a gift for Mogul, and he always made it sound like a good idea, and it was never much. He was fine if I just gave him a bronze piece or a bit of chain or a necklace. Just, he was quite pleased taking whatever it was that I was willing to give. I don't really know how much he took, now that I'm trying to think about it. I wonder what he did with it all.
Thinking back on it, was it in the shrine that we saw below? Do you know, was there anywhere that he went within the city or outside of the city limits that he went on his own? A secret base, anything like that?
He had me send 2 parcels. A messenger stopped by, and he requested that I give them the box, which was just a wooden chest, really, and they rode off with it. I have no idea where it went.
It was an empty box.
I don't know. He told me I didn't want to look inside.
But you never followed it? You never knew the destination?
When he told you you didn't want to do something, you didn't want to do something. If he told you you were very interested in something, you were. I would wager that that is why so many of the townsfolk were so keen on doing their jobs. If he told them that they enjoyed their work and wanted to do the best job that they could, then that would really be all they wanted.
Alright. That is helpful, thank you so much.
Yes, of course. And thank you all again. I won't keep you.
Sorry. Do you know the names of any of the riders that took the parcels?
I do not.
Okay, sorry.
No, of course. And thank you all again for helping us with that parasite problem. And he like bows, and as he goes to shut the door, you can see
Make
like
sure to
a
wash
maid
your
was
hands
inside,
once
like
a day.
dusting very slowly.
Dad, destroy all that.
Okay.
Sweet. We got our.
We got monies.
We did get we had so much money.
I like how me and Rinna instantly lock eyes and are like,
Cash money.
Money.
So, plan of action.
go to Watervale.
I think at this point we should both whip our horses and be on our way.
Okay. I feel like we probably should have asked for some kind of like ideas or tips on traveling there, but I thought about that too late. So,
They said there was a road.
well, there's lots of roads. We have a map now.
You do know.
I have a very detailed map. I don't know what it looks like, but I have a very detailed map with hunting
Yeah, it's
routes
essentially
and all kinds of secret
like
passages.
it's essentially the map that you guys have of like the world right now, but in this area of Huron,
Zoomed in.
it's kind of zoomed in to show like hunting trails and
Yeah.
like back roads and like this is specifically used for like the hunters and stuff like that.
Do we need supplies?
We should. I think we
How many
had
days is it to Waterville?
a decent amount.
It is, I believe it's 8.
Oh my god.
Did we take care of the ring? Because he had a ring with
Yeah.
stone.
Yeah,
Did we do that?
Safine
Yeah.
Safine took
Took
care
it
of the
for you.
ring like right away. Where did the big map? There's the big map.
It's behind the chair.
The big map.
We need to like up the ante and freaking get a dimension door. Or
Would you like me to hold the map?
Honest.
I literally don't get anything transport until like 6th level.
Yeah.
At the earliest.
Yeah, it's about 8 days to Waterville.
Do we have 8 days rations?
If you want to
Well, we've been hunting too.
Oh,
We
that's
haven't
true.
been using
where
our
they're
rations
where right
so
now?
Yeah, that's
They are
true.
currently here in
Each day
Scrapcaster,
too.
And they're
and they're
trying to
heading to Waterville.
That's
so it's like
8 days?
Yeah, it's like 4 days there and then 4 days there. So that's
Yeah,
like
So
especially
how
on
are
the
they
days
starting
that
to
we
get from
don't,
there to
like,
like
specify
months.
anything.
Oh.
So that's why one reason why I did
we
it
can
that
say
way
that
is
you
so that
did
it would
that.
You know,
it's
I
taking
actually
a month
make
to get to
Waterville.
Waterville from Atesa. And it
Yeah,
would take
we
like a
can
month and a
hunt,
half to
like,
get
we
there.
have
Take
a
about a
remember.
month to get
What?
there. Take about a month-ish to get up
Timmy's
here.
got
But like things
Okay.
like where there's no road
Tim's
is
in.
more difficult
And
to
he likes to
find.
punch
fair.
animals, so that
So-
helps.
Wow,
He
that's
really
really
does. He's small, so he can run after the rabbits.
All right. So what is it that y'all are doing?
Get the hell out of town.
We're gonna go.
Just to check with you, because we've been talking about it. We would have enough rations, right? Because we've been like hunting and.
Yeah, like you're able, like when it's like rations like that, like days rations, the way that I see it is more of like you're going through the tundra where like
Right.
hunting things are going to be more difficult, or the desert where again like hunting things are going to be more difficult. Or like if you're in dungeons for like days at a time, which apparently happens.
What?
Yeah, some people go hard. So if
Minecraft.
you dive real deep or something like that, then yeah, you're going to need rations. But you're right now you're in a very dense forest. The forest of Huron is much more dense than it was in Atesa.
Yes, let's get.
The
Yeah.
Let's
hell
go.
out of town.
Let's go get our
Does
creatures.
Rinna, do you have anything you need to accomplish? Like, do you have loved ones that you gotta be like, okay, bye?
Wait, are you coming?
Damn.
Well, damn, I'm just trying to be considerate.
Ooh.
Sounds like you need therapy. All right, let's get going.
Right, so you guys go ahead and you get to the inn, and when you get there, Amethyst sees you and she kind of hesitates for a minute, and she kind of looks you all over, and she's hello again. My apologies. I think I wasn't feeling quite myself
We're not very
yesterday. But you did go up. You were in your room. I'm sorry, I didn't see you come down
We came
this
down-
morning.
We came down very early. We had to check on our horses and then we had some business to take care of. So.
Roll a deception check.
I'm lying. Also,
See
lie
the
to
lady.
me.
See the lady.
Aha! Okay, I'll take that. That's a 22.
Yeah.
Damn.
And she's oh, all right. I must have missed you in there. Your horses and your hound are quite well. Will you be leaving then, or are you needing another night?
Nope, we're yeehawing out of here, as they say in Garon.
You got those horses in.
Well, they don't exactly say that. I'll just go make sure your horses.
Is Billy
Thank
Ray
you.
back as well?
And so the stable hand comes out and he's got all your horses and Fitzum like bounds out and he's like is sniffing every inch of you.
There you are. Good boy.
Ah! Alright, so you guys go ahead and you saddle up and head out of Scrapcaster.
Right into the city.
Are you taking the main road or are you taking any of those hunting roads that you...
We probably plan out. Oh, I've actually meant to ask about season. It was hunting season, but we
Yeah,
probably
it's spring. Like,
Yeah.
like things are definitely starting to emerge, but like...
we probably pick kind of like not a main road route. We probably try to stay to like the hunting trails and the back roads, because if we get caught back there by somebody, it's a little less noticeable than on a main road, I would assume.
There's probably more spookums there, though.
Yeah, but that could give us some XP opportunities.
Just throwing it out there, once we're past, like, while we're still kind of in the stables, Enrod's gonna go ahead and hide her spellbook again, and just make sure she's groggy.
Geared up.
She cried.
That's funny because she's not when she's in her Garanian clothes.
This is the last time we trust a damn NPC.
She's like, oh, you know, it's like when you go to those stalls, like, this is the latest fashion in Milan. You've never been to Milan, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, that's essentially what it was.
Ooh, we've been had.
Well, that was the funny thing is that no one rolled perception or insight, and it was like literally a traveling. It was a flea market. I described it as a flea market.
Yes, shady people found.
Y'all bought a Louis Vuitton that had a VL instead of an LV. Yeah. Okay, so you said that you're taking the more back road.
We're gonna take trails. What? Yeah, we're gonna take more like the hunter trails, the back roads. Like try and stay off the main road if we can, just so we don't encounter as many travelers that way. And then that way, if we need to bust a cap into somebody, we're not out in the public.
Nice. I really like that Tamsin has gotten more like he's moving ahead. He's
Busting
doing
caps.
things himself.
Busting caps. Damn.
All right.
Kill
shot.
Is this a good time to, like, use the bathroom?
How about now?
Yeah. It seems
Yeah,
like I'm
okay.
doing that anyway.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool.
We can.
I should
Yeah,
start.
if you need to head
need to
out.
get
Okay,
back
let
on
me
the
go ahead and
904.
pause the recording then, so that I'm not editing out that much stuff.
My niece.
Halloween costume idea.
Riff-raff?
What are you? Don't ask questions.
My main.
If you don't know, you don't need to know.
Alright. So, you guys go ahead and it takes you a couple hours out of town to find the hunting trail that, according to this map, will take you towards Watervale. And Rinna, even in your travels, like, it's been better for you to stick to the main road. It's been less suspicious for you to stick to the main road.
We picked the wrong path.
So you've never been through the hunting trails. You've never been, like, you've had to probably hide in the woods once or twice, but you've never really like taken the trails. And they're somewhat narrow. You can only really have like barely two horses side by side. Who's where?
Yes, a marching order.
I'm in the thick of it back.
Good things.
Okay.
I will. Well, I'll be in the middle. I'm squishy.
We won't
Remember,
link
would
to
you
our
take the
No, I
front?
want to be in the middle.
Unless you want to.
I'll do
just-
that.
Do you have higher like perception stuff?
I'm pretty not perception.
Yeah, I'm not
Very
either.
tall.
I'm
What
I really like how you supposedly got a guide for this very
So-
reason.
actually I am
was like,
perception-y.
fuck it,
I am
know where to
perception.
go.
Can I have the map?
Yeah, I kind of figured you were
Okay.
gonna go
Okay.
first when we
I'll
did.
take my
So-
front. You'll follow up the
Okay.
back to
Yeah.
protect the back
Well-
side.
Yeah.
So Safine and Rina, you both said that you would hang towards the rear, but remember, are you behind them?
if that doesn't like harsh your steez, I think that would make sense for her to be at the
I'll be in the middle, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be in,
Angara?
Angara will be
So remember's at the very back.
Okay, so it's Tamsin at the front on Fitsum. Oh, can you turn on the... Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So it is Tamsin at the very front on Fitsum. And then it is Safine and Angarad. And then it is Rinna. Rinna, are you beside Remember, or are you in front of Remember?
Is it comfortable to walk beside her on these trails? Like, is it...
Oh, that's right! You don't have a horse!
That's right, you've been riding with me this whole time.
So, yeah, are you still riding with Safine, or have you...
No, you have to say, is she allowed to ride with Safine?
Who is she?
I didn't know she was riding
is she
with
walking along? Yeah,
I'm
she
just
was
kidding.
before. But
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna give her a forearm and pull her up on a horse.
Alright, so Rinna and Safine are on a horse next to Angarad, and Remember is
walking beside her horse because she'd fucking kill it.
She still feels bad riding, even though you have like a giant horse. You still feel bad.
Got a Clydesdale, and I was like, probably break that.
Okay.
She bought a Maserati and was like, no.
Uses monster trucks as skates. Just
zoom.
Correct.
So things go fairly smoothly for the first 2 or 3 days. By day 3, you actually have a huge downpour that hits. Would you keep walking, or would you like have kind of taken a couple hours to keep dry and away from
This
things?
seems very suspicious.
This is a moment of conflict for me because I, as a person, heckin' love thunderstorms.
Yeah, but not if you have to like walk around.
And not if I have to walk around.
This is like a mid-spring, like foresty thunderstorm.
What are the roads like?
They're dirt. It's just dirt here.
So probably
because you've left what had started to become a cobblestone road and have gone off onto the dirt. So it's just mud.
Yeah, you know, like that one guy said, where they start becoming, asphalt roads, but we decided to take the back roads when our guide never took the back roads.
The poetic way of putting it.
Oh, I feel like somebody was talking to me. What happened?
Alright, so
what were you saying, Carly?
Oh, I'll tell you that if there's a band of thieves, they'll definitely attack you during a rainstorm because they're prepared and you're not.
You're correct.
Oh, good.
So, do you think we should keep going, or?
I don't think we should travel in a thunderstorm. That
I
seems
think we should
not a
hunker
good
down.
idea.
Or hunker down, whatever the saying is. Hunker down.
We might as well take a defensible position. I mean, it is easier to defend a stationary camp than it is something on the roads.
Yeah, and if somebody tries to come after us, they have to do it in the rain as well. So it's a disadvantage all around.
And we can't set anything on fire.
We coast Malona.
Alright, so you guys go ahead and you make a shelter kind of tucked away. Rinna kind of explains a bit more of the flora here. She's making a heart at you, babe.
Post Malone.
Yes.
And so Rinna kind of explains to you a bit more of like, oh hey, like that's poisonous, or like that'll like give you a rash, and don't burn that, and a bit more about like what's around
just
here.
picks all the poisonous one out.
And
Don't smoke that. Don't smoke that. Do not smoke that. Don't smoke that.
That was just grass, not helleball.
And so the storm, unfortunately, is a fairly large and long storm, and goes well into sundown, and you do in fact lose a day of travel. But the next day, like, things are still wet and kind of muddy, but you continue on. The skies, yes.
Like, while it's raining, Sophia's gonna very sadly open her little baggies of herbs one by one and, like, toss them out into, like, a moving, like, thing of water.
Release them
Boy,
into the
your son.
wind.
And is really sad about it. But she's
Good
still
night,
gonna-
sweet prince.
Except for the really bad one.
Okay.
The terrible one that she got from what's her name?
From Levin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of her fake name.
So yeah, you go ahead and you all just kind of watch as Safine, like, tosses her dime bag.
She literally just says to her,
Dime back.
And you plays in the background. Daniel, and
Like a flower girl just
Says into
When
her
you just
hood.
said about it, she's like, what's up with Sabine and the herbs?
Literally, I'm gonna say to like my little hood with his, and I'm like, I'm doing this for you.
and he like sticks his head out and just like watches it, and like his wings flap a little bit.
Oh wait, you know what? I don't have that really shitty one. I just have that terrible poison that I did that I used to kill that one lady.
Oh, yeah. Did you take the really?
Yeah, I had that. Oh wait, you mean ingest?
Yeah. That might have been the one that you took then.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
don't do drugs, kids.
And so Hiss just kind of like peeks over your shoulder out of the hood a little bit, and like a raindrop falls on his head, and he hisses and like scurries back in.
You need a bath.
No!
you just stick them in the rain.
Bathe yourself.
What do you have? A knife! No!
That is this child.
Correct.
And he does, in fact, when he realizes that you guys are just going to hang out for a while, like you feel your hood suddenly get a lot heavier, and you hear it thump as he like lands, and he starts like splashing in the puddles, and he's just like flinging it, and he's eventually just flinging mud.
Boy
He is,
child,
like,
dragon child.
dug
This
up.
is important.
He's boy child right now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Don't rip my hood, kid.
No, he changed shape in the hood and then like fell out. He's just kind of like stomping through the puddles that have formed.
Angrad's just frantically casting presage.
Just don't waste your spell. Just let him
It's a cantrip, it's fine.
all right.
And he sees what you're doing and like picks up mud and smears it onto himself, and then is like, "Nice lady!" And then he does it again.
It's Mama.
Nice lady!
Nice lady, Mama.
Remember, just looks at him and goes,
Mommy,
you know, if you
Mama
eat a little
too.
bit of that, you won't get sick as much.
No, wait. Are you Mom?
I'm Mom!
Oh, okay. She's Mom, and this is Mama too.
That's amazing.
And so now he like walks over to remember and then like smears the mud on her while staring dead at Angerod.
She likes it. I'm not going to take it off.
Camouflage.
And then he immediately throws it at Angerod. Go ahead and make a dex check.
Sweet boy!
I invited this.
She's gonna whoop your ass, kid.
That's a natural 19.
And if that day
Yeah,
comes, little man.
22.
Oh,
Yeah, you
that's
manage to like, you realize what he's doing before he even goes to do it, and you like jerk back out of the way as he flings mud past you.
Okay, so here's like the mental image is in the background, kind of like in the background, in focus is Sophine letting all of her drugs go off into the wind, and in the foreground, like blurred out, is his throwing mud at everybody, and your gosh, just like dodging,
Shrieking, just
No! She just calls over her shoulder. She's gonna kick your ass, kid.
she doesn't kick.
She doesn't kick historically.
She goes, and then when he does, you see a bunch of like beautiful sparks and sparkles suddenly leap from his fingertips.
Oh! Yeah, we're all like, good job.
It's when he does it again.
You can turn into a dragon. Are we really
Yep,
concerned
what
about
is
this?
that?
Hiss.
It's
Okay.
and I do the sparks too.
And he's just like,
Right. How foolish of me.
This color and it's blue.
and he immediately does it.
This color and it's purple.
You know where
He
the country
every
is
single
to get
color
us
that you go
murdered.
through, he is immediately casting this beautiful sparkly magic.
Hey guys, this is
Egg
gonna
rod's
get us
still
murdered. It's gonna get us
What are
murdered.
the thunderstorms? There's lightning. Flashes
We're
of
gonna
light
get
are normal.
Yeah, I guess I'll look around and make sure.
Zach, stop.
Zach, you're gonna get in trouble.
You just see sheets of rain.